Hello and welcome. Okay, I admit it, I've been jealous. My O and HO scale friends keep showing off these great onboard views from their train layouts. Heck, they've even let my GoPro ride their railroads, which was awesome. But would that same GoPro work on my N-scale layout? Well, that's an obvious no. It was hard just to get the GoPro to balance on this flat car while it was parked. I didn't even try to set it in motion, knowing it would tip over and probably damage something. So, are we N-scalers doomed to never know the joy of watching onboard views of our layouts? Well, I did some research, and I found something that's a game changer. Here's my first video from that effort. You might have seen it already, but I'll play it again here in case you haven't. And after our quick ride, I'll show you how it was done. The technology that made this possible is this very small camera known as an SQ11. It is sold by several manufacturers as either a sports camera or a spy camera. It can film in 720p or 1080p HD resolution at 30 frames per second in AVI format. Despite being high def, it's still not going to look as good as larger cameras. It has a fixed focal point that shows distant objects clearly, but anything up close gets blurry. That's not ideal for model railroading, but then again, this camera only costs $20. Unboxing it, you'll see that it comes with two sets of instructions. The first is from the original manufacturer and is tough to understand. The second set is from the reseller, apologizing for the poor quality of the original and thankfully providing a useful replacement. It comes with a small clip and stand, which I won't be needing for this project. It also includes a USB cable for charging and video transfer. And then there's the camera itself, which measures less than 1 cubic inch. It can do HD video, as I already mentioned, and it can also take still photos. It has a ring of infrared sensors around the lens for night mode, which ties into its origin as a spy camera. You can see here the dramatic difference between the SQ11 and my GoPro Hero 3 Plus. You'll need to supply your own SD card, but keep in mind this camera can only accept one up to 32 gigabytes. Be sure you get a Class 10 micro SD card to support video transfer rates. I plugged it into charge while I worked on the chassis to run it on my N-scale tracks. I guess you could fasten this camera to an N-scale flat car, but I think the high center of gravity would make it unstable. Fortunately, I have a 3D printer, and I found a well car on Thingiverse by Josh Murrah that was designed specifically for this camera. I'll leave a link in the description below in case you would like to print one too. I printed the chassis on my Pursa Mini Plus with Jet Black Prusament PLA. The total print time was just over 50 minutes, and everything turned out great. I'm still learning the ropes with 3D printing, and this was the first time I used supports generated by the slicing software. You can't 3D print in midair, so everything has to either be built upon the prior layer or have temporary supports that get removed after the print is done. I was a bit nervous about these supports because if I couldn't remove them, the camera would not be able to sit in its well. It took a bit of trial and error, but once I realized the seams along these sides were much like perforated paper, I was able to easily cut the perforations and remove the supports. I test fit the camera in the well to make sure everything was working as planned. You can face the lens looking forward or backward, or even turn it to face either side. Finishing the car was quite simple. I used pre-assembled microtrains trucks with short shank couplers that would be compatible with my new locomotives. The file from Thingiverse included 2 kingpins, and I highly recommend using those as they press fit perfectly into the chassis. The final step was to place the camera into the well and get ready to take it for a ride. I tested it first in 720p. Then I ran the same section again in 1080p. I've heard that this camera does better in 720p because it doesn't tax the inexpensive sensor as much. It's hard to tell. The clarity is about the same, but the 720p colors look brighter to me. Let's take a longer trip to the upper level of this layout. I filmed the rest of this in 720p. The lighting wasn't great, but I have some new LED bars I'll be installing overhead that will make future layout videos much nicer. My apologies for heading into the sun on the return trip. It'll be gone next time, I promise. For the trip back to the lower level, I put a flat car between the camera car and the locomotive to let me see what the focal point and clarity would be like. So overall, what do I think of this camera car? Well, it's clearly not the best quality video you'll see on my channel, but I am still delighted to have it. The whole project cost just $35, including the camera, SD card, printer filament, and trucks and couplers. For that price, I can't be unhappy with the results. This will likely work better when I build my larger layout upstairs, as it'll be able to focus better on farther away objects. This small layout is only 5 feet end to end, so I can understand its struggles. I think the new lighting I'll be installing on this layout will improve things too. But for now, I'm just happy to have a new way to enjoy my layout and to share it with you. And who knows? As technology improves, there might be better cameras on the market in the years ahead. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you down the tracks.